Good morning and welcome to the Grow Omaha Show, sponsored by NAI NP Dodge, Omaha's premier commercial real estate company, and D&M Roofing. Grow Omaha is the area's only economic development and commercial real estate radio program. I'm Trenton Magid. My usual co-host, Jeff Beals, has the weekend off. However, I am honored to share the microphone for the next hour with you and my guest co-host and friend, Rodrigo Lopez, chairman of Amerisphere Companies. Good morning.
Good morning, Trenton. It's a pleasure being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are lucky. This is a gentleman that I've admired for a couple decades, and I'm so glad that he could fill in for Jeff Beals and join us and talk about all the wonderful things that he has accomplished and how he's helped change the skyline of Omaha and change the business community and the philanthropic community in Omaha. And I'm sure, Rod, you're familiar with Nebraska Crossing Outlet Mall, who Jeff is a frequent visitor, and so am I. And we encourage everybody to sign up for the Fast Cash promo. Make sure to sign up for the Fast Cash application on the NEX application or NEX app for Nebraska Crossing Shopping Center. The Fast Cash, you earn 15% back on every purchase at Nebraska Crossing shops, over 70 premier brands. And I'm sure after you're done cleaning up your front yard, your backyard, and helping your neighbor fix their fence, you'll have plenty of time to go shopping today. And you can use it at all those stores out there: Tory Burch, Kate Spade, Polo, Ralph Lauren, Nike, Under Armour, Coach, Michael Kors, Untuckit, Tecovas, and Vineyard Vines, and many more. Also, D&M Roofing. I'm sure everybody's looking to make sure that their roof is in place, and if not, now is a great time to call D&M Roofing. It's a full-service, certified roofing contract with more than 50 years of experience in all areas of roofing services, both residential and commercial. You can count on D&M Roofing for speedy, reliable service when you need it the most. No job is too big or too small. They offer affordable solutions for everyone. D&M Roofing experts are highly skilled and have undergone rigorous training, and there are free estimates, dandmroofing.com. And I'll tell you from personal experience, they replaced our roof last year, and it's in great shape, no leaks, and all the shingles are in place. So we appreciate our sponsorship from D&M Roofing. And it is now time for the Development News of the Week, sponsored by Eagle Mortgage Company. They've been in business for over 30 years, licensed mortgage brokers serving Nebraska and Iowa. There's free consultations for purchases, refis, get pre-approved conventional and VA and FHA financing. It's at the corner of 114th and Davenport, just south of 114th and Dodge. You can see them online at eaglemortgagecompany.com. And as we always talk about, get those pre-approval letters. Well, Rodrigo, the Amazon is at it again. And I think every day in this country, there's at least one Amazon warehouse opening up. Have you seen those warehouses going up?
Well, they need that last mile to be effective in delivering packages. So they are building industrial buildings for the distribution work that they do all over the United States.
Yeah, and we're all guilty of it because we order from Amazon and a lot of other people. But I'll tell you, we break a lot of news on this show, and for the last couple of months, we have had that rumor of another. We think it's about 270,000 square feet, and this is at South 24th Street in Council Bluffs. They purchased, Amazon purchased, they've got one of their contractors, Ryan Companies, building on 50 acres, and this is at 24th and Veterans Memorial Highway, just south of some land over by JCPenney that I have for sale, some pad sites. So if you need to be in Council Bluffs and you want to have a restaurant or anything, or a gas station convenience store with all those employees, but $12 million just for the land, and you can imagine how many millions this will cost to build, probably 270,000 square feet. And they call it a sortation center. Mm-hmm. And according to Amazon.com, a sortation center has associates sorting customer orders by final destination and consolidating them onto trucks for faster delivery. So this is on top of the $1 billion, 2.7 million square foot, 3.5-story building at a Highway 50 and Highway 370. There's a last mile center. We think it's about 150,000 square feet at 132nd and let me think where that is. It's on Hilltop and Cornhusker Road, and then there's one about 142,000 square feet way out off 72nd and I-680, which is at State Street. And I drove by there a few days ago, ladies and gentlemen, and there was precast concrete. There's one wall up, and hopefully they got more up, and they had these steel poles holding it up. So hopefully it didn't act as a giant mast or a sail and come tumbling down. So I'm pretty sure Amazon's here to stay, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. That will continue, and I think the pandemic put a lot of wind on their sails, and they will continue to grow.
Absolutely, but we're also seeing, what I like about it, Rodrigo, is that we're seeing retailers becoming more specialized, and we're seeing omni-channel sales where people are using their storefronts and combining it with their online sales and doing a good job with that. Well, demolition of the former Omaha Business and Technology buildings at 24th and Lake is going to begin in mid-July by Blair Freeman, a local construction company that seems very busy. They'll take care of that demolition. And 75 North Revitalization Corp. Bought the property in 2019 for $1.45 million, although there's no announced plans for the site, which used to be occupied by the Omaha Small Business Network. The location is key asset to revitalizing North 24th Street. Sidney Franklin, who's on the planning board and also president and CEO of 75 North, said the corporation would be supportive of any entity that would redevelop the site into something that complements what's already going on in the neighborhood. So we wish them luck out there. Are you a seafood lover?
I am.
So check this out. Sebastian Southern Crab is planning to open this summer at 843 North 98th Street, which is Clock Tower Village, just east of the West Roads. Mm-hmm. The restaurant's motto is where seafood meets soul food.
Well, that's a place to visit.
Yeah, we need more restaurants in Omaha, and they've fared pretty well. I'm working with a lot of restaurants. Pickleman's is expanding rapidly. A lot of other ones are really looking for good locations. There's a lot of rumors about what was happening at 132nd West Center Road. The old KFC, it will be becoming a Pepper Jack's restaurant. And I had looked that up. There's talk about maybe it was a Perkins special concept with a drive-thru. That's not happening. But Pepper Jack's, the owner of that, bought the building, and that'll open up soon. And then have you noticed these down in your neighborhood, downtown, Hy-Vee is building a Fast and Fresh location. There's one in the Capital District, and then they've got two more that we know about. One's going up pretty fast in the Coventry development, 204th and George B. Lake Parkway. And then there's also construction I saw that's opening late summer, and then there's another one at 192nd and Highway 370, and Hy-Vee owns 10 acres there. And so sometimes they build these convenience stores. Their new thing is building convenience stores and gas stations. There's one at 204th and West Center Road going up, but with 10 acres, I'm guessing they're going to eventually have a store there as well. So, as you and I talked about, and we're going to talk about all things downtown because that's where you live and you've developed a lot of stuff. We'll know that downtown Omaha, when they have a full-size Hy-Vee or another grocery store, 50,000 feet, which is a hard amount to assemble, where do you go to get your groceries?
Well, a couple of places, but most frequently to Saddle Creek. The Bakers of Saddle Creek is the one that is closest to downtown. But once in a while, go further west to Whole Foods.
Absolutely.
But there's quite a few things that you can pick up at a Walmart as well.
You got that right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is your economic development news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage Company, where they know mortgages. Find them at eaglemortgagecompany.com. That's eaglemortgagecompany.com. And you're listening to Trenton Magid and Rodrigo Lopez on 1110 KFAB. The Grow Omaha Show will be back in a couple minutes. Welcome back to the Grow Omaha Show, the area's only economic development and commercial real estate radio program, brought to you by NAI, NP Dodge, and D&M Roofing. I'm Trenton Maggot, joined today by Rodrigo Lopez in Jeff Beals' absence. He must be cleaning up his neighborhood, and they can use all the help they can get. NAI, NP Dodge is the company that you call where I work. And we do everything commercial real estate, from sales, leasing. We work with developers. We work with anyone that has office, industrial, retail, investment needs. Call NAI NP Dodge. Go to NAINPDodge.com, and we would love to talk with you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as introduced earlier, my friend Rodrigo Lopez, a native of Cali, Colombia, who immigrated to the United States in 1971, is the chairman of Amerisphere Companies, a very diversified investment and development company here. And he is also the founder and former president and CEO of Amerisphere Multifamily Finance. From July 2019 to 2020, he served as interim president and CEO of Omaha's Children's Hospital and Medical Center. Mr. Lopez is the current director of the University of Nebraska Foundation, director of the Durham Museum, and a director of the Omaha Performing Arts, where he now serves as chairman. He's on the Holland Campus Expansion Building Committee, which he chairs. Just to name a few of his accomplishments, and you have a lot of corporate boards and things like that, but you had a whole business life, Rodrigo, before you entered the philanthropic world and now commercial and development markets.
Yeah, my career has been in commercial finance, and we had the Amerisphere Multifamily Finance that you mentioned.
You started that in a spare bedroom, right?
In a spare bedroom, and we sold it in 2015. And I was lucky that McCarthy Company became my partner, and we grew it to size that we had loans in 37 states, about a $5.5 billion portfolio, and we had the entire spectrum of rental housing. That's all we did, finance rental housing.
Is that unique in the mortgage business?
Very few concentrate on just one asset class, and most of those loans are either sold to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. They're closed by the lender, or also FHA loans. But there is a market in and of itself. There is significant liquidity in the bonds that ultimately all of those loans are brought together and they're securitized, and that's what we did, and it makes the construction and development and investment in rental housing a viable business.
Wow, and so let's go back. You came here in 1971 as was an exchange student?
To Superior, Nebraska, South Central Nebraska, in the middle of cornfields.
Wow, how'd you pick
Cali.
Superior, Nebraska?
They selected that for me, and I'm lucky that's where I ended up.
And your beautiful wife, Mary, is a native of Avoca, Iowa.
That's right. And we met almost 40 years ago. 40 years ago, actually more than 40 years ago. Next year we have been married 40 years.
And you have two beautiful kids.
Both of them live here in Omaha, both married. All of them gainfully employed, which is great, and 3 grandkids.
Congratulations. And you embody the spirit and work ethic and philanthropic success of Omaha. And to top off, you're still going strong, but you and Mary decided that, it wasn't just enough to be on all these boards and donate to this and serve on all these charitable foundations and make Omaha a better place to live, work, and play. You decided to move from a single-family house out west, and you decided to build big at 10th and Capitol.
Well, we after we sold the mortgage bank in 2015, we began considering what to do for the next phase of our life, and being urban dwellers was attractive. We had spent our entire life in suburban Omaha, which was enjoyable and was a great place to raise our family. We looked for a building where we could have an apartment on the top floor, and we were not successful, but we found a vacant land that we acquired the option, and then we purchased it from the city at 10th and Capitol Avenue. So we built the apartment, except we built a building below the apartment.
Yeah, just 78 rental units, about 20 or 30,000 feet of retail, and thank you for having us over. You have some of the most striking views from to the north. You see the CHI Health Center. You see the Bob Carey pedestrian bridge with all of its LED lights at night, which is fabulous. And you see the Illuminarium going up, and you got the river. You got all that. But let's talk about those apartments are pretty full.
We have maintained almost 100% occupancy since we opened the building, and I think the location is great. Obviously, we built it's not a luxury product, but it's a notch above the average apartment that you find downtown.
It's luxury. I mean, I saw your penthouse, and I'm sure there's plenty of. And I saw the VIP services that they have there, and package delivery, and all that kind of stuff, and indoor parking. And it's not easy to develop downtown, ladies and gentlemen, but it's that kind of a dark gray building there. And then on the first floor, you've already got Addie's, where Tim Addie has the sports bar there that's been wildly successful.
Yeah, Tim Addison is doing a great job with Addie's Sports Bar and Grill. This is his fourth store in Omaha, and I recently spoke with Tim, and he said that the downtown store is leading his four stores. He had a lot of people in his bar and grill during the swimming trials and during the College World Series. I believe that in the last day of the College World Series, he had 300 Mississippi State fans eating and having a good time.
It's a good thing they won, because they were like 90% of the TD Ameritrade Park. So that reminds me of LSU fans. Now, I went to Tulane down in New Orleans, and so we were friendly rivals with LSU fans. But when it comes to the College World Series, I think Tulane came there once a long time ago, maybe some other times. But LSU was always fun there. Now,
well, downtown was maroon.
Yes.
Those last 3 days.
I hope the Bob Carey pedestrian bridge, they made it maroon for them. So you look out to the west, and there is another construction project that is near and dear to your heart. You are head of the building committee for Omaha Performing Arts. Tell us about Steelhouse Omaha.
Well, first of all, it is great from the perch where we live to look around, as you mentioned, all 360 degrees, all the activity that's going on in our central business district. But specifically, one block to the west, the Holland campus expansion is on time, on budget, and will be the new addition to it will open in the spring of 2023. Steelhouse Omaha is a live venue. It will have standing capacity slightly over 3,000. It's likely that you'll see a lot of rock bands. So the target audience is that age between 25 to 45. They will be having a very good time. The Keywood Construction Company is the contractor, the same architect that designed the Holland Center, the design of this particular building. And HBA is the local architect that it not only prepared the construction documents, but is overseeing the construction. Is going to be an outstanding addition to the venues that we already have in downtown Omaha.
Thank you for doing that. The Holland Center has always been a great facility. And then briefly, they're also having another education for the arts or something next door, the third phase?
That will be, the second phase of the current expansion. We haven't announced much about that, but with the documents that we have made public, it shows where it's going to be. Currently, there is a grassy area directly east of the Holland Center. That's where the expansion will take place. There's significant demand for social events at the Holland Center, and we are totally out of space for education activities at the Holland Center.
Awesome. Great stuff. We have a lot more to come to you, ladies and gentlemen, with Rodrigo Lopez and everything that's going on in Omaha. It's time for a short break. Jeff Beals is on vacation, but you're listening to Trenton Magid and Rodrigo Lopez. We'll be right back at you on 1110 KFAB. Welcome back to the Grow Omaha Show, the area's only economic development and commercial real estate radio program, brought to you by NAI, NP Dodge, Commercial Real Estate, and D&M Roofing. I'm Trenton Magid. I'm joined by Rodrigo Lopez, the chairman of Amerisphere Companies. Jeff Beals has the week off. And let's get right back into it, Rodrigo. We're talking about all things downtown. We talked about some amazing stuff. You are also a director of the Durham Museum on South 10th Street, just south of your home.
That's another jewel in Omaha, in downtown Omaha, and I'm privileged to be on the board. The museum has concentrated during the recent past on making sure that the exterior envelope of that wonderful Art Deco structure is well protected. That work has just recently been completed. The next thing that the museum will address is the ceiling in the Great Hall that from time to time needs restoration. So that'll be something that we'll be working on. Long term, I'm sure that we'll be looking at the exhibits, but currently, if you haven't seen it, do go and see the exhibit on the Titanic. It's absolutely wonderful.
And it's more than just Titanic. It's James Cameron. Everybody knows him as the creator of Avatar, the movie, and Titanic. But it's the Challenging the Deep exhibit through October 3rd, 2021. But don't wait till then. He has the Deep Sea Challenger, a submersible, and broke world records going down. And the water pressure down there is crazy. But visually, and there's artifacts from the movie. That's pretty cool. But also cool that you can do right now, after you listen to the show, of course, on your own computer, is if you go to the Durham Museum website, your organization has curated, and it's got a photo archive, ladies and gentlemen, of over 1 million pictures, mostly Omaha history. I'm actually looking at a picture right now that was taken on September 9th, 1946 by John Savage. My grandfather, A.Q. Schimmel, also known as Abe Schimmel, a picture of him with General Dwight D. Eisenhower, 1946, before he was president, at the Veterans Day at the State Fair. And it's pretty impressive. I mean, you type in your name or your family's name or different buildings in Omaha. Have you ever gone through that?
Well, the project has taken many years, in fact, decades, and it's not only the Savage collection, but the Boswick Frohard, and is an outstanding collection of photographs from the very early part of the 20th century through the middle of the century, and they are outstanding. The entire collection has been digitized, and the classification of each image obviously takes time. But Omaha is fortunate to have that library of photographs at the Durham Museum.
Yeah, it's very impressive. It's easy to access. We want to give a shout out to a couple community servants that have done amazing in their posts over the last 20 years. And one is a near and dear friend of the Grow Omaha Show and the Magid family, and that is our neighbor Audie Poor, who was a champion and really got Douglas County and Omaha through the pandemic. And Audie, for I think about 18 years, was the executive director of the Douglas County Health Department, and she did an amazing job. So thank you for that. She was there since 2002, and she recently retired, and her husband Parvis deserve some rest and relaxation, and some travel finally. So also, both of our friends, a frequent contributor to this show, he started right when we started the show in 2004, and that's David Brown, the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce.
You know, Trenton, this program is about economic development, and David Brown has been at the center of every economic development and community development in our city since he was elected. He started in 2004, but he was elected in 2003. And there is no one that has been as good a cheerleader for our community as David. I had the pleasure to work with him as a member of the Chamber Board of Directors and in other projects during his tenure. He will be retiring, going into the next phase of his life next year in 2022. That was announced yesterday. It will be very, very difficult to find somebody with his skills and not only personal skills but leadership skills.
Yeah, so David and Maggie, we wish you the best luck, and thank you for coming to Omaha and helping Omaha do what it does best. And so thank you for that. On top of everything else, and we're, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we're only touching 5% of what Rodrigo Lopez and Mary Lopez do for Omaha and do for the country. So that's great. And you chose Omaha. You chose to come to Omaha and stay in Omaha, and there's a lot of reason for that, and you've helped make it happen. Well, another one of your positions is you chair the investment committee for the University of Nebraska Foundation. I'm happy to say that the Maggot family has a small scholarship at the real estate program at University of Nebraska at Omaha. So I got to work with the foundation. And tell us about what you see there.
Well, first of all, we have the assets of the foundation. Will be publishing the 2020-2021 annual report, and assets have grown over $3 billion for the benefit of the University of Nebraska system, the students, and that really is an economic engine for our state. And we're lucky to have Ted Carter, Admiral Ted Carter, retired Admiral Ted Carter, who joined the university system in early 2020 as president, and he was an outstanding selection by the Board of Regents. He also recently brought and named Dr. Joanne Lee as the Chancellor of UNO after Chancellor Jeff Gold did an outstanding job for a significant period of time. I think the university is supposed to continue to grow. In fact, most universities across the country during the pandemic lost students. Nebraska actually grew.
Right.
So that's remarkable.
Well, and you are a product of the University of Nebraska education system, and so I can see that it's working. Sometimes too well, maybe. But let's switch to another thing that for a number of years you were on the board of directors, head of the board of directors for Nebraska or for Children's Hospital and Medical Center, and you spent 18 months as the president and CEO through the pandemic. So that is an amazing feat.
Well, we after 10 years on the board and the last 3 of those that decade as chairman of the board, I was preparing to go off the board, and the prior CEO announced his retirement, and the board asked me to serve as interim president and CEO. That, of course, was before the pandemic.
Yeah, little did you know.
For a mortgage banker, some people ask me, how did you do that? I said, well, that's what retired mortgage bankers do. They go on to run hospitals. But it was probably one of the most challenging assignments that I've had in my professional life. But the team that Children's has is unique. We are fortunate. Omaha is one one of the smallest cities in the United States with a freestanding high acuity pediatric hospital. That is very special for our city.
Yeah. And the amount of growth during your tenure at Children's Hospital was nothing short of miraculous, how much they've grown. Well, we'll have another segment right when we come back, but we're going to be back with the lightning round brought to you by Turner Construction. You're listening to Trenton Magid and Rodrigo Lopez on the Grow Omaha Show, 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the Grow Omaha Show, sponsored by NAI MP Dodge and D&M Roofing. You're listening to Trenton Magid and Rodrigo Lopez, who is filling in for Jeff Beals. He'll be back next week. And the lightning round is brought to you by Turner Construction Company. And Turner is building for the future with over 150 full-time Turner employees in the area, 40 of whom are local to Omaha. They really engaged Omaha, just like Rodrigo. They moved downtown in the old Mastercraft building, and they are always looking for employees, ladies and gentlemen. So check out Turner Construction. They do a ton with workforce development and training their people and training students and reaching out to the community. The vast majority of their projects are in the $1 to $5 million range. They've had over 800 projects in just the last year that fell into that size, and they are best known in Omaha for the amazing, sprawling Sarpy County data center, which used to be called the Papillion Data Center, and it got so big it crossed lines, so it had to be the Sarpy County development. So check out Turner Construction, and we appreciate their sponsorship. Well, the legendary Dundee Dell, Scott Voorhees, one of his favorite places across the street at 5007 Underwood, has reopened under a new ownership. The remodeled restaurant is currently open just for dinner with a limited menu, but the good news is they have the fish and chips. There's a new warehouse at there's a 150,000 square foot warehouse planned for 13 acres down by the airport. Storage Expressway at Abbott Drive and Lindbergh Drive is kind of a triangular piece there, and it shows 30 dock doors, and so that's a pretty impressive property. The nonstop flights from Eppley Airfield are starting to reopen after the pandemic, and so airlines suspended 14 of those Omaha nonstops in 2020, but all but 4 have reopened, so that's good to know about that. And then the iconic Wolf Brothers Western store at 72nd and Dodge is closing, and the developer plans to keep that sign, which is nice, and we'll see what tenant they put in there. Well, that is the lightning round brought to you by Turner Construction. So Turner Construction does big and small projects throughout Omaha. Well, Rodrigo, we have some time left, and what is it with your long and successful career? What is it that is in the water in Omaha that people come back to Omaha, people stay in Omaha, and your job and my job with this show, with all your philanthropic activity, is to help grow Omaha?
Well, I'm fortunate to live in Omaha, and in September I will celebrate 50 years in Nebraska, and Mary and I would not live anywhere else, and we'll forever stay here. It is the engagement of not only our corporations, but the leaders of those corporations and many citizens in Omaha that makes this community so successful. It's almost expected of you to give up, to give back to the community where we live. And for that, we are recognized clearly, not only for the philanthropic activities of many of our corporate leaders, but also for the engagement people not only give their treasure, but their time. And that is what makes a community successful.
What's interesting is that the boards that you serve on, and you've been chairman and run many successful companies, when the head of the Chamber of Commerce or some of the important committees and things like that, they don't put the second person in command or middle management or something in these. It's the top people from Walter Scott on down.
And they have dedicated their lives to our community. They were successful in their respective professions, and they didn't. Most of them didn't retire. They continue. Then they either sold their business or they continue. They allow others to run it and continue to work in different initiatives across the community.
One of the big questions in Omaha is, and we've talked about light rail. We've got the circulator bus. You know, the
Orbit.
The Orbit Rapid Transit, and there's rumors that we might have one going on 24th Street, which would be huge. Well, Rodrigo Lopez, I really appreciate you coming on, and thank you to you and Mary and everything that you guys do.
Trenton, thank you very much. Enjoyed time with you.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week at 9 o'clock on KFAB 1110 AM. Thank you.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.